Hey KU fans, thanks for logging on to KU Sports Extra after another Kansas victory, 89-72 at Allen Fieldhouse over Nebraska today. Tom, the biggest thing that jumped out was?
Played a terrific first half, shared the ball incredibly well, just did everything really well in the first half. Josh Jackson's energy was unbelievable all over the place. And then the second half arrived, and the team just didn't bring it in the second half.
They didn't. Up 54-34 at the break after a 30-foot bomb by Devontae Graham to beat the halftime buzzer. Really sent them off to the locker room with a lot of energy. They had tons of energy throughout the first half. So maybe a little inevitable. I know that's not a good enough excuse. That's not something Bill Self wants to hear. But I think it is inevitable. It's human nature, especially up 20. But that was a lot of the talk in the postgame. They have to find a way to finish teams off. Nebraska never got closer than 15 in the second half, but they dictated the second half, and they out-toughed Kansas at times. And Self doesn't want to hear that, doesn't want to see that, and I don't think these players do either.
Yeah, and I think there was some exhaustion probably that set in. Emotionally, they've been through a lot. When a teammate gets arrested and charged with a misdemeanor battery of a female student, as did Carlton Bragg, I think everyone is just kind of in a state of shock. So you go out there, and the best way to forget about it for 20 minutes is to play a great first half. And you play so great, you're exhausted, and they just couldn't quite get it back to where it was.
Yeah, Bragg was here. He's being held out of competition until the whole thing is resolved, but he was here in street clothes, sitting at the end of the bench. He definitely looked distracted. Landon Lucas said that Self did a good job of gathering the team so it wasn't a distraction for them as well, and obviously it wasn't at the beginning, but there's clearly a lot more going on inside that young man's head, and there should be, and Bill Self talked a ton about it. I've got a whole lead to my notebook about it, Self's thoughts. There were no apologies, no excuses made, just sort of matter-of-fact statements, and it sounds like something that's going to go on for a little while longer. On the floor, though, 12 blocks. Josh Jackson, again, with a fantastic effort. We've talked about it over and over about just how good he is, how active he is, but it seems unrelenting right now. He never lets up.
Yeah, it's amazing. Every possession is a new game to him.
Right.
That's a great way to play any sport. It really is.
It's a great way to put it, too, because it looks that way.
It does. He was terrific. And, this is a game, Nebraska, you should be good inside. And they were good inside.
Yeah.
Landon Lucas was very good. He and Udoka and Mitch Lightfoot for 5 minutes combined to play 40 minutes, 21 and 12 and 5 block shots.
Really nice effort there.
Yeah, Lucas has not missed a shot from the field or the line in the last 2 games, UMKC and Nebraska. So he's out of his fog.
Not out of the fog, KU's free throw shooting. Bill Self doesn't want to talk about it. The players don't want to talk about it, but they keep talking about it. And if you watch Self, if you're at the games or even if you catch it on TV, if you watch him after every miss, he's disgusted. He's visibly upset, and he doesn't throw anything or throw any tantrums, but it's bothering him. And this team has to figure that out. It's not hurting them now, but it could, and it very easily could coming up very soon with a couple of tough road games and then Big 12 play.
Do you suppose that's why he was so upset with Kelly Pfeiffer? Because Kelly Pfeiffer made calls that put Kansas's players on the line and they missed, and that upset Self further? Or do you think maybe he was upset that Kelly Pfeiffer was not calling some fouls
He
against
might have
Kansas
missed
players?
a couple of calls. He might have been a little over his head, and this is an official that worked, one of the 3 officials that worked the game. Give him credit. It would have been real easy for him to tee up Self the way Self was ripping into him throughout most of the game, but he didn't, and it looked like he won't forget it. I think he'll still hear Bill Self in his sleep later tonight, but Kansas does get to sleep and rest and do a little of that for a little while and practice.
Study.
Yeah, and study. I forgot it is finals week coming up.
I think you buried your lead there.
I'm not worried about finals. It's not for me. But yeah, they don't play again until next Saturday over at Sprint Center against Davidson, which will be a tough game. Davidson just played Carolina tough, and obviously has been a tough team for a number of years now. So
Great coach.
final thoughts?
Final thoughts is Josh Jackson's more fun to watch than any Kansas player I've ever watched.
I love that, and I also love how good I've become at wrestling away the Josh Jackson angle from you every game. At about halftime of every game, he starts to lobby for, I want to write Josh Jackson. We'll both write plenty about him the rest of the season, including possibly Saturday. KU Davidson at Sprint Center. We'll be there, and we'll have all kinds of coverage this week leading up to it at KUsports.com. Thanks for checking out this episode of KU Sports Extra. We'll talk to you guys real soon.